It is to be expected that the shows we see on TV have several quality filters, not just anything can be broadcasted. Everything is done to ensure that nothing inappropriate is broadcasted, especially in children's shows. That is why it is surprising to see that such strange-looking characters have managed to be approved, only to be the fuel of nightmares for millions of children around the world. In this video we will meet those characters, or maybe you remember some of them. As usual, we will start at level 1, and go down to level 5 where the most curious and horrendous ones are found. Level 1. The Teletubbies was a television program of the British BBC, with contents oriented to babies and preschoolers. Most people probably have seen them or heard about them. They are 4 characters that seek to learn through songs and games. Many remember the show with joy, as it was part of their childhood. However, as will be common throughout the video, there are those who don't remember them that way. Instead, they find the design of the characters somewhat creepy and terrifying, not to mention they inspire hundreds of creepypastas, and even games. Read Along was a Canadian educational television program for young children, first produced in 1975. The program taught fundamentals of reading with the help of live child actors, puppets, and animated interstitial segments. One of the puppets brought the attention of those who watched the show, the Granny. As her name implies, her appearance resembles that of a grandmother, but as you might guess, not everyone found her to be a pleasant puppet to look at.
Well, that's just what this wall needs. Oh, something's wrong. Oh my goodness, there's a mistake.
Alf needs no introduction. You probably know him, even if you didn't get to see the show. But in case you haven't, let me tell you, Alf is a comedy show, where an alien crashes his ship in a suburb of Earth, and can't be repaired, so the family agrees to live with Alf. The series was very popular during its broadcast, and its ending was worthy of its status, as it left many people wondering what really happened to the alien. Despite its popularity, Alf was not loved by everyone, with some people disliking the character and avoiding watching the show. It's not surprising either, because even though Alf is a pop culture icon, it's easy to see why some would be afraid of the character. It's just a matter of watching it closely to realize that it's not very common. Mr. Meaty was an American children's television series aired on Nickelodeon in 2007. In this show, Josh and Parker are a pair of teenagers who are looking for a job that would give them a big paycheck. Eventually, they find a job at a fast food joint called Mr. Meaty. The show was pretty scary according to parents. Many of them wouldn't let their kids watch it, they saw it as disturbing. And with characters like Edward Carney, who is the antagonist of the series, we can understand the reasoning behind their thoughts. Level 2. Adventures in Wonderland is a 1992 American live-action musical television series based on the novels, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Each episode begins with Alice facing different problems and consulting with her cat Dinah. In order to find the answer she needs to get through a situation, she goes through her mirror that takes her to Wonderland, where she partakes in strange adventures. With the inhabitants of Wonderland, she would resolve the situation that she is dealing with. One of the characters that would stand out from this show would be the caterpillar. His morbid appearance, mixed with a rather theatrical makeup, caused many of those who saw the show to feel uncomfortable at the very least, wishing the character would go off screen. Boohbah was a British show that was produced during the 2000s. The main characters of the show are atoms of energy and light, who do Pun Stuff was a children's program that aired from 1969 to 1971 in the United States. The show was involved in controversy as many claimed that it incited children to smoking. The show contains many characters that are quite terrifying in appearance, but the one that took the prize for the most disturbing according to the children who watched the show was Freddy the Flute. The show was very successful, but that didn't stop Freddy from scaring viewers every time he appeared. Psalty the Singing Songbook is a little bizarre at first glance, but this beloved character and his songs have touched millions of lives around the world for the past 40 years. Kids Praise was a Christian show that aired during the 80s. It starred Psalty. As said, his appearance is a little strange, but he would not be responsible for the discomfort children would feel when watching the show. That would be his dog, which is played by a person with a very creepy outfit. Every time Psalty's dog would appear, it would generate a feeling of discomfort in the children.
Now sit up. Now lay down. Roll over. Play dead. What a dog.
Level 3. Born in England, Hartley Hare Pipkins is a puppet, which seems to have had an accident because of his disheveled appearance. The puppet is not that creepy, however he has a rather peculiar, not to say sadistic, tone of voice and a disturbing personality.
Oh, hello. I've just been to the toy shop. And you know what I bought? Should I show you? Here it is. It's a glove puppet. And you know, you can do all sorts of things with a glove puppet. You can put it on your hand. And you can play with it. You know, you can be naughty with a glove puppet. Can't you, Michael? Yes, that's what I've called him, you see. Michael. Can't, well, come on, Michael. Let's you and I go and be naughty together, shall we? Yes, good.
The displeasure was not long in coming as many parents complained about the character. The creators of the Hare said that people misunderstood the mission and the message they wanted to give. Morso was a well-known TV program in Finland back in 1999 and 2000. There was nothing special about it really. But there was something that terrified the viewers. The puppets, the way the characters spoke and the way they expressed themselves, annoyed, disgusted and even terrified the children of that time. Morso and his program have gained too much fame among the folklore. It is as if he were a legend. Adults and people from the times when it was broadcasted still talk about him and the show. They talk about the terrible nightmares they had as children. Moomi Ja Aabits is an Estonian children's series that started in 1973 and lasted until 1976. But everyone would agree that just watching it causes discomfort and later terror just by listening to it. The children's television series has undoubtedly caused fear in Estonian children. If you search the internet, many say they have had nightmares with the characters, and no wonder. The costumes seem made on purpose to cause concern, but not only that, but their songs sounded creepy.
Viinaga, raginaga väntan katki kohvijuba, sest mu kallis karupere tahab juua kohvijuba.
It's no surprise to say that Courage the Cowardly Dog is by far the children's animated series that contains the most frightening and disturbing characters. Everyone who grew up watching Courage the Cowardly Dog must find it pretty creepy to some extent. Examples such as King Ramses, who is the ghost of a pharaoh from ancient Egypt, who haunts the farm after his ancient slab is stolen, and Eustace claims it, realizes it's worth a fortune. Maybe today we see something like that and it doesn't seem so scary, but there's no doubt that it caused a lot of fear in children during its original broadcast. And what is probably the best-known character of this series, Freaky Fred. This character isn't actually evil by any means, but it is extremely evident that he is definitely deranged. He is obsessed with cutting hair and speaks only in whimsical, yet spooky rhymes. Fred has a need to make things naughty as he feels it manages to fit his personality.
Wonderful!
Level 4. If you grew up in Australia during the 90s, you might recognize this character. Liftoff was a program focused on puppets, where children lived with them in order to have a good time. Of all the puppets, there was one that stood out from the rest. EC represented every child. So if you wanted EC in your imagination to have brown eyes or brown hair, it could be anything that you wanted it to be. Needless to say, many children were terrified when they saw the puppet, because although the intentions in creating the character were good, the appearance was still uncomfortable to look at. Sesame Street is a very popular show, is probably the most known show made for kids. But even this show inspires things like, "Don't hug me, I'm scared" to some extent. However, Sesame Street also has a character that appeared only once to scare the little kids watching. Nobody, or Limbo, as this character is known, had a segment on the show, during which he appeared to talk to the audience. Speaking in a deep, pensive voice, the character would deliver thoughtful, even apprehensive monologues. But there was something strange. Nobody spoke as if he was communicating with an adult, showing us his evil thoughts.
Of course, I've got some evil thoughts too. I guess everybody does. Hey, you want to see my evil thoughts? I keep them over here, in this part of my brain. They're greedy thoughts, gluttony, hate, lust.
Mummenschanzs is a Swiss mask theater troupe who perform in a surreal mask style. Although this is not focused 100% on children, it is important to say that this theater company appeared on The Muppets Show, where it was seen by millions of children. Those who mentioned that seeing this show on television caused them fear, and even made them want to cry. Although for an adult this type of acts can be fascinating and surprising, we must also think about how children react when they see situations like this, which they still do not fully understand. Mr. Blobby, better known as Blobby, is a character who originally appeared on the television show Noel's House Party. Blobby is a pink, bulbous figure covered in yellow spots, has a permanent toothy grin and bulging green eyes. Several articles and journalists criticized the character, calling him an abomination, and no wonder, he is quite peculiar to look at and is quite well known. Thousands of English children met the character, and he probably caused them a feeling of dislike and discomfort. Mr. Blobby acted out of character, generating chaos and breaking things, making noises that resembled his name, making the guests of the program uncomfortable. The dislike for Mr. Blobby was so great that he even made a baby cry during a live show. It is not known the inspiration for the character, nor the reason for his appearance. Slonieko was a 1980s broadcast that became popular in Slovakia, and lasted on the air for almost 10 years. This character became known because we can see how children react to him. His name is Ratafak Plachta. Ratafak possesses anthropomorphic features that exaggerated, such as the length of his hands and necks, big eyes, prominent teeth, body with non-certain movements and a crazy bald head. Ratafak was not an ordinary character. Besides the strange appearance, his purpose was to defy authority, since the audience would ask him different questions, and he would always answer incorrectly. Some portals point out that parents between the decades of 1979 and 1989 sent letters to make known their dissatisfaction for such an outlandish character on children's free-to-air television. Jigsaw was a British program that aired during 1979 to 1984. It was a fairly common program. It was divided into several segments, where children were encouraged to think through puzzles. One of the characters of the show stands out from the rest. Mr. Noseybonk. This character is quite curious. Since the program was focused on children from 4 to 7 years old, Mr. Noseybonk always acted as someone clumsy and naive. It was intended to give him a touch of comedy. The scary thing is that even today it is unknown who played the character, as there is no record of his name in the credits of the program, although he was quite recurrent during the show. Those who worked with him say he was strange and peculiar, even more so when he was playing Mr. Noseybonk. It didn't take him long to have problems with the show's directors, since the sketches he didn't have much coherence and could hardly be called comedy. Eventually he was fired from the show, but not before taking the Mr. Noseybonk costume and mask with him. The producers let him keep it, since all they wanted was for him to leave. The character was later played by the show's host Adrian Headley. The sketches had better quality and consistency. Unfortunately, this did not stop the show from being cancelled in 1984. But that wouldn't be the end of Mr. Noseybonk, as he would return in 2008, when a video would be uploaded to YouTube, where we can see Noseybonk again, with the same music of the show and the same tone, only it would get a little more disturbing. New Zoo Review is an American half-hour children's television show. It ran from 1972 to 1977. The format show conveyed the concepts of cooperation and guidance for living in contemporary society. Each episode dealt with a topic such as moving away, courtesy, bragging, or patience. This program was not very successful, however years later it would become popular due to the following story. The show M was the name given to the show by a boy who was a big fan of the show. He watched the show with his friend. One day they saw an ad where they could be part of a fan club, so they answered the necessary questionnaire. The following week they received a response, along with their memberships, and a flyer saying that the characters from the show would be visiting their town, so they convinced their parents to go. When they arrived there was a crowd of parents. They had explained to them that they had to take the children to film a segment of the show, but then they would send more buses for the parents. Evidently not everyone agreed to leave their children in the hands of strangers, even when they were wearing the program's costumes. But the child's friend went with them. Her worried mother could only see how hours later the bus did not arrive. Instead, police would arrive. The next day the news was released, as the program had no fan club and it had all been a lie. Months later the boy did not see her friend again. However, one day a letter arrived to his mother accrediting her friend as an elite member, and on top of it there was a videotape, in Super 8 camera. In it was her friend, accompanied by another child and a rabbit. In the video the girl said, "Hi Mom, hi Dad, I'm very happy here. It's a pity that the other kids were not here."